What's up, guys? Apple just wrapped up their WWDC event today where they announced a ton of new stuff. So in this video, I'm going to be doing a recap telling you everything that they announced. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. We'll start off with some stats and bragging like Apple always does. So the App Store will be turning 5 years old next month. It's been a long time. Doesn't seem like it's been that long. That's crazy. It's already almost 5 years old. 50 billion apps have been downloaded from the App Store. 900,000 apps are in the App Store, and 375,000 of those apps are iPad-specific apps. And then Apple actually paid out $5 billion to developers in the last year. That is insane. And Apple has 575 million accounts, like Apple ID accounts, and most of those have a credit card connected to them, which is even more insane. The Mac install base is now at 72 million, and 28 million of those Mac users are upgraded to Mountain Lion. So a big portion of them are actually using the latest operating system. Moving on to the operating system, they were talking about a new operating system coming out, and they were talking about a name, and then they were like, we've kind of ran out of lion names and cats and stuff, so we're going to move on to OS Sea Lion. But that was just a joke. It's actually going to be called OS 10 Mavericks, which is kind of weird, but it's just a name. Doesn't really matter that much. There's obviously going to be a ton of new stuff with this. Some of the stuff they mentioned, there are now tab browsing and Finder, so you can browse quickly through tabs on one little window instead of having multiple windows open. You can tag things in Finder, so you can have stuff organized in groups and stuff, so you can find things easier, files and stuff like that. You can use multiple displays now, which rather than using a display here and then a display there, you can still do that, and you can drag windows back and forth, but you can also use each computer individually. So you can have a dock on this screen and a dock on that screen. Kind of use them as two separate computers. And then you can also AirPlay to your TV and use that as a monitor. And then Maverick also gives you way better battery life. They've made the battery life management so much better. The way this works is, all the apps that are running in the background, if it's not shown on the window, if there's an app hiding it, it's not using your CPU. Then that's what's going to save your battery life, which is pretty amazing how they thought up to do that. And it seems like it's going to save battery life a lot, because whatever the thing you're looking at is what's going to be using your battery life, which is really pretty cool. Safari's been updated with favorite pages and a sidebar, so you can browse through your reading lists and stuff like that. You can continuously scroll through all of your articles. iCloud now has a thing called iCloud Keychain, which will let you log in, and it'll remember all of your passwords for websites and stuff like that. So now if I logged in on my Mac and then I wanted to switch my iPad on the same website, it automatically knows the password for it. Booyah, just like that. And then it can even suggest a password for you that you don't even have to remember, because it's going to be saved in your iCloud keychain. And then you can also set up to get iOS push notifications that you get on your iOS device right on your Mac. So if your iPad or your iPhone or whatever sitting on your desk or in another room, you're working on your computer, you can see everything you want to see right there. Even if it's not an app that's on your Mac, if it's something iOS only, you can still see it on there. There's also a new Maps app for Mac OS 10 Mavericks, which is pretty cool, because you can do everything you can just like on iOS devices, except you can pull up your directions and your route and everything on your computer and then send it right to your iPhone. Then when you go to your iPhone, you unlock it and it takes you immediately to the route. So you could set it up on your computer, go to your car, turn it on, and you're ready to go. That's pretty cool that they got that now. iBooks is also now on the Mac OS 10 Maverick or Mavericks. One cool thing about this is you can go through and you can highlight parts of a book, like say you're reading something for school. You could highlight certain parts, and then it actually makes it into like a note card style thing where you can scroll through it. This would be really cool for studying. There's also a new looking calendar app. They've added some new stuff to it. There's continuous scrolling, and it's also really more detailed. The way this works is you can actually, let's say I wanted to set an event to go eat pizza. You say I want to eat pizza, that's what I'm doing, and then it'll suggest some pizza places. Then you can say, all right, I want to pick that pizza place, and then it'll say it'll take you this long to get there from here, and the weather is going to be like this where the pizza place is. So it's pretty cool. It gives you more details, looks better, and overall the calendar app looks much nicer. So OS 10 Mavericks developer preview is available today, and then it'll be available to everyone else this fall. Now, sticking with Macs, but moving on to the hardware side of things, Apple announced a new line of MacBook Airs, and there's nothing really new in these except for better battery life. They said these MacBook Airs are going to last all day. So the 11-inch is supposed to have 9 hours of battery life, and the 13-inch is supposed to have 12 hours of battery life, which is pretty crazy for a laptop. That's pretty good battery life. 12 hours. That's all day if you ask me. The new MacBook Air 11-inch starts at $999 for the 128GB version, and then $1,199 for the 256GB version. And then the 13-inch MacBook Air starts at $1,099 for the 128GB, and then $1,299 for the 256GB version. And they even gave us a sneak peek at the new Mac Pro. A lot of people thought they were going to do away with the Mac Pro. Some people said they were going to update it. They are coming out with a new Mac Pro, and it is awesome. It's smaller. The new Mac Pro is like this big, and it's like this big. It's black. It looks sleek. They did just give us a little sneak peek of it. They didn't show it like in too much detail, but they did give us some specs on it. And I'm just going to say these exactly how I have them like wrote down in my notes here. 12-core Intel Xeon, I don't know how to say that processor, 256-bit processor. It's got ECC memory, 1,866 megahertz, DDR3 memory, 60 gigabytes per second performance, flash storage, PCIe with 1.2 gigabytes per second reads. It's 10 times faster than any hard drive you could put in a Mac Pro before, which is freaking crazy. It's 10 times faster than any other hard drive. Everything is external over Thunderbolt 2.0. It's got 20 gigabytes throughput, 6 devices per port, and it's backwards compatible. And it also supports up to 3 4K displays. That's pretty amazing. And like I said, it's smaller than the previous Mac Pro. It looks sleeker. It's black. It actually looks like it's a plastic, kind of like the old plastic MacBooks. I guess we'll wait and see. Again, that's just like a preview. They didn't say when it's going to come out, how much it's going to cost, but I'm guessing it's going to be thousands of dollars. But it's coming out later this year, but no specific like time frame or season or whatever when it's going to come out. Now moving on to iCloud, there are now 300 million iCloud accounts. A couple other stats they threw into that is there have been 8 billion iMessages sent and 7.4 trillion notifications sent to iOS devices, and I guess Macs also. That's pretty crazy. 7.4 trillion. And then also they showed off, which it was really long and boring at the event, but iWork for iCloud. So basically you can use iWork and make documents and stuff like that right in your browser now. So even if you're on Mac, if you're on Windows, you can do it right in there, and you can make nice looking documents right on your browser that syncs up with iCloud. Now moving on to iOS, there are 600 million iOS devices sold. 93% of those iOS users are using the latest version of iOS, and compared to Android, completely different. It's really fragmented there. But iOS 7 is finally coming. They announced it here. Everything is completely redesigned. Everything is really simple and elegant looking, but really colorful. It actually surprised me. I wasn't expecting it to look like this at all, and it doesn't really fit a lot of the rumors. Some of the rumors were kind of spot on where they made it more white looking, there's more white space, but at the same time there's a lot more color too. It looks really, really nice though. I kind of like everything about it. So yeah, then they also have this thing where on the home screen, if you wanted to put a picture on your background, and if you guys have seen the Cydia tweak, it's called 3D board. You take your phone, and when you're tilting it away from you, it uses the accelerometer to tell like where you're tilting it, and your background actually moves to give it like a 3D looking effect, which is really cool, and I'm sure Apple is going to make it look a lot better than the 3D board did, because that would be kind of glitchy at times. Anyways, in most apps, I don't think they said it's everywhere. You can swipe from the left over the display and go back, which is really cool. I'm actually getting, since I've been using Galaxy S4, I'm really accustomed to having a back button. So now I like that I can just swipe from the left to go back. So that's pretty cool. There are now multiple pages and folders. Folders look completely different, as well as the home screen. The home screen looks completely different. All the icons have been redesigned. All the settings pages are redesigned. There's now notification center on the lock screen. I'm not gonna be able to talk about everything. I'll do a full in-depth video on iOS 7, but they did announce 10 major new features, and some of these are just kind of changes to the features we already had. First up is Control Center, which we've all been waiting on this forever if you're an iOS user. You can now swipe up from the bottom and you can get access to all of your settings, like your brightness. You can have your flashlight right there, your AirPlay, you can change songs, you can turn off your Wi-Fi, your Bluetooth, airplane mode, screen, portrait locking, yeah, pretty much all your settings right there. You just swipe right up from the bottom. Finally, Apple, it's about time. Also, multitasking now works with all of the apps with also great battery life. So they made it smart and better battery life, but you can swipe back and forth from left to right to go through all of your apps, and it looks like a card style like layout plus the icons down below it. So the multitasking looks really nice. Safari now automatically goes full screen. It's been redesigned. Like I've said, everything in the iOS 7 now looks completely different. And like I was mentioning before, with the swiping from the left, you can actually swipe left and right and go back through your Safari browsing history. So Safari's been redesigned, looks completely different. You now have AirDrop on iOS 7, so you can send files to your contacts and stuff like that. I'm guessing also to your computers. They didn't really go into super detail on that, but you have AirDrop on your phone now and on your iOS devices. That's cool. Now there's also a new camera app, which I thought this is pretty cool. If you guys use Instagram a lot, you can now switch between taking a photo. You can also switch between taking a video, or you can take a square photo, which is actually fits perfectly for Instagram. Because sometimes I like to take an Instagram photo, but not in the Instagram app, and I'll just end up taking it, and then I can't like scale it to fit the Instagram app. So that's pretty cool. They finally added that. That was a nice little feature to have. And then you can also add like filters and stuff over, kind of like Instagram. Most of the ones they have are on there. The Photos app has also been updated. They've got a new thing called Moments, which will actually automatically sort out all of your photos into different types of collections as far as location and place and stuff like that. And then you can also view your photos that are all taken by year now. And then you can also share videos on the iPhoto stream. So yeah, that's the Photos app. And then Siri has even been updated. There's a new interface for Siri. When you're talking, you get like a little wavelength thing where it's like showing that you're actually talking, like that goes along with your voice. Siri has a new voice. Speaking of voice, it has a male and a female voice now, which sounds so much better. It doesn't sound like the old Siri we're used to. Siri is also smarter. You can now control Bluetooth, brightness, things like that. So you can control more of your phone with Siri. Plus, they have better Twitter integration, as well as integration with Wikipedia and Bing. Why do they integrate it with Bing? Microsoft and Apple working together. I guess just because they hate Google so much. Also, they announced a new thing called iOS in the car. They're going to be on a lot of different car carriers, or not car carriers, car brands, and it's pretty much going to be your iOS apps right there in your car, so you can use them hands-free and control them and stuff like that right in your car. That's pretty cool. App Store, now apps are going to update automatically, which is, it's finally time for that. I hate seeing that I have 50 app updates and I never go in there and update. So now you can set it to update automatically. And it's been rumored for a while now, iTunes Radio is finally here. This is Apple's music streaming radio type service. You can get it right in the iTunes app. And then also on the Apple TV, so that's pretty cool. They added it there. You can make stations, you can search artists, you can have like artist stations, pretty much just like every other streaming service that's out there for like radio, like Pandora and stuff like that. It's very similar, but you can go on, and when you're listening to a song, if you actually like it, you can go and buy it right in iTunes right there, so it'll add it to your iTunes library. It is free with ads, but if you're an iTunes Match user and you pay that every year or whatever, you get it with no ads. So yeah, iTunes Radio is finally here. I wasn't too impressed with it. I wasn't too excited for it. There's so many streaming sites out there like that we didn't even there wasn't really a need for a new one, but it's cool that Apple actually did it. Now, also a few other features to mention with iOS 7, which are really cool, and there's actually a lot more. I'm not going to be able to cover everything in this video, but again, I will do an in-depth video on iOS 7. Phone, FaceTime, and messages can be blocked now from a particular person. So if somebody's annoying you, you can block them, their FaceTime calls, their phone calls, and their messages. So that's really cool. FaceTime audio calls are now free over Wi-Fi. So basically what they're saying here is you're going to be able to do an audio call, but they're just calling it FaceTime, I guess, to kind of get away with it. You can basically do a phone call over your Wi-Fi connection. Hello, dropping your minutes on your AT&T or Verizon or whatever plan you're with. You can now just do it over Wi-Fi. That's freaking awesome. There's no more minutes. Thank you, Apple. Did away with text messages, now did away with minutes. Love that. That was a really good idea. I'm surprised they haven't done that. So yeah, it's basically like voice over IP, but built right into your iPhone. And obviously, you'll be able to only do it from iPhone to iPhone, which works fine for me. Here's another thing I'm so glad they added. So if you have Find My iPhone and somebody finds your phone and then goes and turns it off, it's kind of pointless. But now, if the thief or whoever found your phone wants to take it and turn off Find My iPhone, it actually they have to be able to log into your Apple ID if they want to activate the phone. So it's pretty much the phone is useless if they don't know your Apple ID. So yeah, that's pretty cool. If they try to turn it off, now the phone's useless. So what's the point of turning it off? So developers will get iOS 7 today, which I'm going to include myself in that because even though I'm not a developer, I'm going to get hooked up with that. You do have to pay for that, so don't ask me. You have to be a paid developer, it's like $100 a year. But yeah, and then everyone else will get it this fall. So iOS 7 is coming very soon this fall, and again, I will have videos covering all that. There's tons more to cover. Everything's been redesigned, so I couldn't mention everything in this video. It'll be available for the iPhone 4 and later, the iPad 2 and later, the iPad mini, and unfortunately just the iPod 5G. So the iPod 4 or lower, you guys aren't going to get iOS 7. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I covered everything there for you, and I didn't like rush through that. I know I did because there's so much stuff to cover. But again, I'll have more in-depth videos on all this stuff. Let me know what you think about everything that Apple announced, especially iOS 7, in the comments down below. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this, as well as all the upcoming videos I've got on iOS 7. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Stuff they mentioned, there are now tab browsing and Finder, so you can browse quickly through tabs on one little window instead of having multiple windows open. You can tag things in Finder, so you can like have stuff organized in like groups and stuff, so you can find things easier, files and stuff like that. You can use multiple displays now, which rather than using a display here and then a display there, you can still do that and you can drag windows back and forth, but you can also use each computer individually. So you can have a dock on this screen and a dock on that screen. Kind of use them as two separate computers. And then you can also AirPlay to your TV and use that as a monitor. And then Maverick also gives you way better battery life. They've made the battery life management so much better. The way this works is all the apps that are running in the background, if it's not shown on the window, if there's an app hiding it, it's not using your CPU. Then that's what's going to save your battery life, which is pretty amazing how they like thought up to do that. What's up, guys? Apple just wrapped up their WWDC event today where they announced a ton of new stuff. So in this video, I'm going to be doing a recap telling you everything that they announced. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. We'll start off with some stats and bragging like Apple always does. So the App Store will be turning 5 years old next month. It's been a long time. Doesn't seem like it's been that long. It's crazy. It's already almost 5 years old. 50 billion apps have been downloaded from the App Store. 900,000 apps are in the App Store, and 375,000 of those apps are iPad-specific apps. And then Apple actually paid out $5 billion to developers in the last year. That is insane. And Apple has 575 million accounts, like Apple ID accounts, and most of those have a credit card connected to them, which is even more insane. The Mac install base is now at 72 million, and 28 million of those Mac users are upgraded to Mountain Lion, so a big portion of them are actually using the latest operating system. Moving on to the operating system, they were talking about a new operating system coming out, and they were talking about a name, and then they were like, we've kind of ran out of lion names and cats and stuff, so we're going to move on to OS Sea Lion, but that was just a joke. It's actually going to be called OS 10 Mavericks, which is kind of weird, but it's just a name. Doesn't really matter that much. There's obviously going to be a ton of new stuff with this. Some of the